everything correctly?
We're live.
Okay, and we're live. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this live event. Welcome to a new perspective of my office and hopefully some better audio and visual quality as well. So thank you for joining us. And today I wanted to address the topic of how to navigate the whole ascension process. First off, like how to recognize it, what does it exactly mean? What are the phases of it? And mainly I wanted to address the part of it that we all have these periods from time to time in our lives that you were in an okay spot, maybe in a comfort zone, as you could say it, and in an okay spot in life. And since you're evolving and moving forward in vibration and in your life, you are changing, but things around you are staying the same. And the old stuff, which was okay once, are no longer compatible with who you have become. So you start to, you're like thrown into this like limbo state of like, the old doesn't work anymore, but where do I go from there? Like, how will the new me and my new environment in life look like? And like, I wanted to address this whole like in-between period when you're like transitioning from an old way of being to a new one. Like, how can that look? Like, we can say examples. You can also share some if you want to. And some practical tools in the end, like how can we navigate it to make it actually work? Because it doesn't have to be a difficult process. There are like mechanisms and blueprints that you can use to overcome these difficult stuff. And yeah, I wanted to mainly address those so it can help all the people who are like new to this stuff. But basically this pattern will repeat itself later on too, even if you're like more advanced on the spiritual path, because the same repeats later on too. The only difference is that you maneuver with it differently, like you process difficult times and challenges in a different way because you have already worked out a way in yourself how to overcome these challenges. Okay. And before we start the topic with higher vibrations, I wanted to make a few announcements. Like last week, I posted on the community section that I was looking for beta readers to test out the new, I'm getting some reverb, to test out the new chapter that I'm adding to the teachings of Thoth the Atlantean. And that whole section will be called the Book of Immortals. And yeah, many of you, I think I believe almost like 30 people have signed up for it. So thank you for everyone who have signed up. And also a lot of appreciation for all the people who have already finished reviewing and correcting the material. I was starting to go through that process and look up what I can use from each one of them. So thank you for your contribution. And the second announcement is our Patreon community. Like if anyone wants to go like more deeper into these subjects and experience different types of group activities. For example, we just had a channeling session yesterday, and next week we're going to have a group meditation. And each week, basically, we have some type of group gathering and activity that we do together in order to advance ourselves and hopefully each other on our awakening journey. So with that said, like, hello, high vibrations. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, like, do you wish to share your Zoom meetings at this stage?
Sure. You're very structured. I'm gonna do my best to stay in your structure. Yeah, I have every Friday. So tomorrow, at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we start our 3-hour meeting. So you can come later than that or leave early or whatever. It's free, and it's just a bunch of people like us. It's like a conversation that Guardian and I are having, only with more people. You don't have to turn on your camera or your audio. You know, it's a very useful tool to connect to others like us. It's very fascinating, the power that holds. Initially, that's when, you know, where I really flourished, and I, you know, connecting with Guardian and finding other people in his live meetings that he, or YouTube things that he would do every Monday a couple of years ago. And it changed everything. It opens up your throat chakra and allows you to explore that. If you'd like to have it be in a more private setting, meaning that there's not quite as many people coming in and out, the Patreon that Guardian has is definitely recommended. this is designed more for more of a public of people, whoever wants to come. With Guardian, because there is a monthly charge, it are for sure is people that are more on this journey. But please feel free to join. You can find my link to that meeting every Thursday. So it's already up in my YouTube channel in the community section. You can click on my @higher vibrations that Guardian has so perfectly put onto the title here, and it will take you to my page. And then from there, go to the community section. You can find the link to tomorrow's meeting. Thank you. That was very long, not as long as I meant to be.
Oh, thank you for the explanation. Okay. So yeah, like at the beginning phases, like what is like the awakening process and ascension? Like from my perspective and understanding is basically when you start to question the status quo or the phase of your life that you were in, like reality in general, or who you are as a human being, and you start to crave for something else or something more. I think like many of us, or at least also in general, like the human population has this inside of themselves, this realization, like, is life only about these, like going to work, like maybe start a family, work yourself to death, and then go to, how do you say that, retirement, and then die, and like that's all there is to your life basically. And I think like most of us like think about it like there has to be more to life than this.
Right.
And I think especially for the awakened community, like we have more stronger experiences that like propel us forward, and we just don't contemplate about it. We actually do stuff about it, like double check things, explore like who we are, make some research. And I think it's also coupled in many cases with very interesting experiences that like challenge you on many levels, especially challenges your belief systems, like what you believe to be true about yourself, about reality, about your relationships regarding, I don't know, like with people or your country mates, or I don't know, like the government or whatever. And basically it like propels you forward on a journey where you just have to know more and like find out more about yourself. And as you do so, you start to realize that, hey, like there's a lot of stuff that I have to work on myself because I'm really like not on a good place right now. And there are certain things that I need to heal inside of myself so I can feel better, I can be healthier, and like move forward in a more holistic way, hopefully. So could you add something to this, or maybe add your perspective?
That's you just said it so well. I don't know what to add, but I can expound on some of it. And that point where everyone asks, what's the point of life? What's the point of what we're doing? And as we continue to like Guardian said, heal and kind of allow ourselves to feel comfortable inside of ourselves. It feels like it's supposed to be the opposite, right? It feels like if you reach up, then you can then heal something, but instead it's more of reaching down, and then that healing can, I don't know how to explain it. We've put breadcrumbs throughout every place and in every experience. And so just as Guardian said, I call you Garden a lot lately. I apologize.
I'm also
it's
a gardener too, so yeah.
Maybe that's why it's that season right now. So and as we go through these moments, there are still those little whispers of things in pop culture, in our media, and things that, and books that we've read, or stories that we've heard that grabs our attention a little extra, and we don't really know why. And so often the only relief I was deep in a chronic depression period for a very, like most of us have, and truly suicidal. And, that's really a common part of this experience. And most people, when they get to that point, they'll either do a little bit of healing, just enough to make it through, or just completely give up. And what's been happening in a very real way of like more and more and more every day, truly, is that once people are getting to that point, they're healing further. they're finding further healing, which is something Guardian's going to go into in a moment. I just wanted to put a little bit of hope in there, that it does really, truly get better. That many people right now are being hit with this experience of simultaneous depression, like in such such a large way that many individuals are reaching out right now and just struggling, feeling this density. And I just want you to know that you're on your way up and through that when you're sensing and feeling these things, it's like a goodbye of the thing. What you're feeling is what you're leaving behind. And so I hope that's the right that I went.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also like these unpleasant experiences that come up and like challenge us, or like what really helped me in the beginning and also right now is that, hey, like they come up so I can like work through them and advance beyond them. Like those challenges don't come up so I struggle and they don't want to harm me or anything, but simply it's just like time to work on that right now and leave that behind for good. That's like, you can also take it in the sense that your higher self is like bringing it up to your attention and saying that, okay, like right now would be a great time to address this issue. Like maybe that's something with your health, maybe your job or relationship, whatever that may be. And it's coming up like very in a pronounced way, like almost you cannot avoid it, or like some situation like drastically shifts in a way that maybe you had some kind of relationship or something with your health, and like abruptly like it just changes and like, there's like no going back because there is no place to go back to, for example. And you're like left in this like in between like limbo state of like, okay, like the old stuff has went out the window and I need something new, like I have to move forward, but how and like what would it look like? And I think this is, yeah, like it's pretty scary for I think most of us when you're in this like in between phase of like uncertainty, like not knowing how your life is going to unfold. And I think most of us have experienced this uncertainty and uneasiness in the past few years, very in an amplified way. So yeah, it forced us to try to find ways to navigate it much better. And later on, I also wanted to share some tools on navigating it. But like the analogy that I really liked about this whole phase is like, for example, like imagine the Grand Canyon and you're like up on a hilltop or something, and like that's your old life, and you just have to leave that behind because it's like no longer working. And there is the other huge like cliff or piece of land at the other end of the, how do you call that, the chasm at the other end of it, and there's like this thin road or maybe a rope that is like connecting the two, and you have to make that leap of faith to like, okay, like move forward and like try to get to the other side while you're trying to balance yourself while you're on top of that huge chasm, basically trying to move forward on it. And yeah, like it can be pretty scary stuff, especially like most of the time I think it's like absolutely not clear like how the other side will look like where you're heading, but you have to go. Like there's no other way. Yeah, you go there or you perish or something similar. Yeah,
there's no going back. It's just like the Matrix movie with the red pill, blue pill thing, like once you find out, you're done, I mean, and it's not done in a bad way. Just we do want to go back to the pain because the pain is what we know. We know it's familiar. We know what the outcome's going to be. You know that every day is going to suck. This is how it's going to suck. And it's going to suck until you stop breathing. The end. Like, that's predictable. However, allowing ourselves to move forward, knowing that it's better over there. We don't know how it's better. We just know it is, and I like the analogy of the ravine. I feel sometimes it's similar to that movie Onward. I love that movie with my kiddo. I don't know if you've seen it. And he has to cross the ravine without seeing the bridge that he's creating, and it only works when he's trusting in himself, when he's standing in his power, when he's allowing himself to trudge forward. Trudging is to walk with purpose, and that's what we're doing, and it's a thing that sometimes we are just putting our foot out and like, I think there's a bridge there. And what's very fascinating is that specific visualization is what I get often, Guardian, that's what we're doing. As you know, I'm not sure if you're all familiar with Dolores Cannon. Shaka Randa Marie, happy birthday tomorrow. It's good
Yeah,
to
happy
see you.
birthday. I made a personalized note so I don't forget to greet you tomorrow. So happy birthday if I forget. Okay.
Yeah, so I totally lost what I was saying.
Okay, so
I'm
back to
sorry.
our regular program. Yeah, like about trusting the process of like putting a foot forward, and
Yeah,
when you like step on it, that stepping stone appears. But
yeah,
while you're not there, then basically while you can't see it, but when you're there, you can see it and like materializes when you're ready and to be in that phase. Yeah, it can be, yeah, like I think like also people say like it's a leap of faith or something. You have
yeah,
no clear, it's not clear like where you're going, but you have to.
right. Yeah, and you know what's fascinating, I remember what I was going to say too, is that what's fascinating is what I'm being told and have been told for several months now, maybe years, is that we people who are in this awakening journey, I was going to talk about Dolores Cannon in reference to the three waves of volunteers, you know, and so it looks like if you pull back, and not that we're an army, but I get the visualization of the armies that like they're marching in squares like onto Mordor, you know, you see all of those, and we're all marching together, though the person up here is going to see things a lot sooner than the person back here. You know, the person who's in the red of the rainbow isn't going to see the violet that they're seeing, but they're all moving forward. And that people who are in the front of this line are the ones that are making note that there are bridges. And so we are the bridge people, like as if each step that we're taking, we're making it visible, the spot that can be stepped upon, if that makes any sense. And as we cycle through, we're arcing the light from one side of the spectrum to the other, and that arc, when in its own motion, is the sphere. Like it all is this beautiful spiritual, that it makes sense in mathematics and science and all of these different areas of study. And finally, at long last, all of these schools of thought are finally becoming more open-minded and accepting of looking at all sides of this, including spirituality and the things that were thrown out with the wash during the witch trials and that kind of thing. So
Yeah, like that's the only way we can move forward, is with like integrating everything rather than just I know, like seeing one end of the spectrum and like discarding everything else because it doesn't suit our belief system.
right.
Yeah, like that can be also this part of the awakening process of like seeing things from different perspectives, especially the perspectives that you were like used to or like conditioned to function from. And oh, it's 12. Okay. I thought there was another higher vibration, like a fake higher vibration. You
There
changed your
are
avatar.
there are
There are
three
fake
others I
higher
met in a chat.
vibrations.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my, you're becoming very popular. Okay. So back to our, yes.
So the other part that while we're doing this is just to be reminded as well, is that it all energy, it doesn't tend to move in a straight curvature up. In this ascension experience, it's not a perfect line up, it's turbulent, you know, and so we're doing this often. And so this dip down, to reassure all in this experience, those dips are temporary, it's part of going up. And so, and often when we dip down back into this space, like Guardian had mentioned, that's revealing other things that need to be healed. It's not that, oh, I thought I already did this particular work. It's that which we most often go to in our minds. It's that it's coming back because it's another layer of it that we couldn't access previously is now accessible to us, because we're now at a vibrational frequency and a balanced place that's actually possible. So just more words of encouragement. And as these revelations that are happening right now, We've been talking about this occurring for a year, and now it's starting to happen where globally, everyone are out of high enough vibrational frequency that many of these lost pieces of our history, like archaeologically speaking, are being perceivable. We're in this space where you can see it. And so there's a lot of discoveries. These discoveries, these things that were just hidden just beyond our sight, are activators for us to remember who we are. And so when that happens, that's a lot of times the code or the activation, the breadcrumb that creates this whirlwind. I hope I didn't get too far off topic.
No. And it also ties into the chapter to the teachings of Thoth the Atlantean that I basically made it public to a certain extent, like people can read it in a closed environment. And yeah, like that also addresses this whole aspect of like our old history and like ancient history, like coming back to the surface, like in whatever shape or form, like people are remembering and bringing back that lost information. And yeah, like it's also coming back on the physical plane as well, because like we're raising collectively our vibration and we're like more open to these stuff. And also like everything in the universe is like assisting us to raise even further our vibration, basically. So everything around us has to change too. And like basically remembering who we are and where we came from is a very important part of moving forward, because right now we're in this like amnesia state, like not necessarily just from the history wise, because yeah, like most of our known history is fake, or like it doesn't reflect reality.
Yep.
For some people, probably that will be very shocking, but if you do some research, which I highly recommend, on like alternative history and like independent studies and researchers, they have done amazing jobs of like doing a lot of research like on site and like compiling a lot of actual evidence to support their claims of our lost history, and when you see it, it becomes a lot more logical than what we've been led to believe, basically.
Right.
Like you have far more evidence to support their claims of our alternative history than the official story, basically.
Right.
And you start to see that the official story is basically, it's just a story.
Right. And it just makes sense. Like, I've always loved history. And I remember entering school at the age of 14. I wasn't in school before then. And when I did, I looked forward to specifically that class. And I was so disappointed.
Yeah, me
I was
too.
upset. Like, I could tell they were lying. You could feel it. And I actually got sent to the principal's often frequently in that class because I was always had conflicting evidence. And I would bring books and stuff too. But anyway, I've never been okay with sitting back and letting my peers be lied to.
Yeah, like
Lisa,
yes.
Jacques Marie has a question.
Yeah, I also wanted to stress that too. Yeah,
Sorry.
like also with the history class, like before I went to school, I really enjoyed researching history, especially ancient history. And when I was like still waiting for school and like history to be part of our lessons, and when it actually happened, it was incredibly disappointing. And to the way that I actually completely dropped my fascination with researching and those subjects. And yeah, it came back after I had my spiritual awakening and had like hypnotic regressions of like past life regressions. And I was like, oh my God, like this makes so much more sense. And I started to find, when I was like open to it, all this information just started to flood and come into my life. Like all these researchers and who have basically supported what I've seen during my regression, basically. But I've seen stuff which would not be supported by the official story. So yeah.
Right.
And basically, like, yeah, like we're remembering as we're raising our vibrations, we start to remember. And also like yesterday during the channeling session, like my guide said that, hey, like you're raising your vibration. And as you're healing as a race, of course, this probably will not happen in our lifetime, but as you're healing as a race, you will start to remember more and more. Like we're just starting to get there.
Right.
And basically we will end at the phase where we will be able to remember our genetic history, just as you will be able to remember your childhood from this lifetime. And you will be like able to look back and basically draw on all that experience and information that our ancestors and other previous lives of ours had, basically.
Right.
Yeah, like
Like an
just imagine
Akashic
what we'll be
portal.
able to do in that state.
Yeah. Like an Akashic portal of some kind.
Yeah. Okay, so we should definitely address Jacaranda Marie's question. Is there something coming up about the Halls of Amenti? Like in the book, not necessarily, but I'm not sure. I think I also, uh, who was that guy, that channel that you sent, who was researching the teachings of, not teachings, but the Emerald tablets? And it was like also going on site in ancient Egypt and like researching there and like finding evidence of those scriptures. I'm not sure like what his channel is called.
I can't remember either. I've sent you so many different things from different places that
Mm-hmm.
were of the same person. So I'll go and look at it later on this evening and put it on comments here.
Okay,
But
okay, thank you. Yeah, like he was also talking about the halls of Amenti as something physical, like underneath the earth or something. Like, I don't know, like, and from my experience, is like it's in another plane of existence. But because you can go there, I mean, you can project yourself there, you can go there energetically. I'm not sure if it's actually a physical place. In my experience, it's energetic, basically. So I'm not sure. But if you're ready and you're able to access that area of Earth and that plane and dimension, you can go there. But I think if you're like not ready or you don't have the proper keys, you will not be allowed to enter. So
right.
yeah, I don't have experience with that. In the beginning, I was like even like drawn there. I just didn't even know like what it was. And then I read the Emerald tablets and I was like, oh, like so that's where I was.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it functions for other people, but yeah, like some people I think have access to it because you've been working with those energies prior to this lifetime. So basically you're just going back and yeah.
Billy
Billy
Carson.
Carson. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Wow. That was a very awesome response. Like for blindly inspired to know who we were talking about based on that description. I'm very impressed.
Okay, so
My experience with the Halls of Amenti, I've actually had some recently. And what's interesting for me is that what's occurring is I feel like that I'm in Egypt based on the fact that I'm at pyramids. However, the horizon and everything about the sky isn't earthy. And where I'm at, I go into this pyramid. I'm very, very tall. And I look down at this very small, it's a silver ring. And inside there's bluish violet movement, watery, light stuff. And all of a sudden I go through and down. However, I know when I'm going down into the core of whatever planet I'm in, I'm not actually going into the core of the planet. It's more like a doorway somewhere else, like a portal or something. Though I found it to be a physical space. So, and the only reason I bring this up is that I do think what you said is correct, that everybody's experience is different based on what is intended for them in that moment, as well as a variety of things. Some of these past life experiences I've had in that space, I knew that I was in a hurry because I knew that when I returned to that space as the identity of Pamela, whatever it was, I knew it was going to happen in the future or not. I knew that I needed to go through this series of steps within this amount of time in order to get Pamela to activate to this next point. And I know that because as Horus, I didn't do it fast enough. And I was like, oh, these little guys kept getting in my way. There, these humans were running about and getting underfoot. They were really excited and they just wouldn't get out of my way. And like, I didn't get fast enough. I didn't get through the whole. And what's interesting was I missed the portal in my ability to reach it as Pamela. And so this is a whole different thing, but it's interesting. We know that we are doing this. We were doing this in order to leave breadcrumbs for ourselves now. Like this is all intentional. It's well thought out. It's amazing. The breadcrumbs that are everywhere. There was something, And that circles back to this Dolores Cannon thing. I just wanted to bring this up, is that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, is that the holistic healing concept, the QHHT kind of stuff that she does and all that, has to do with understanding that we are a being that is multidimensional, omnipresent in many ways, simultaneously perhaps having all these different lifetimes, whatever it is, for some reason, however it works, we bring the trauma of all these other lifetimes into this lifetime because it still needs to be healed. Not the trauma that had been healed, though, just the stuff that needs to be addressed. And so those things come out in a variety of symptoms and things for us to address. And in order for us to know what it is that's being called on, being that our Western cultures has taught us, take a pill, put a Band-Aid on that festering wound, don't look at it, there's no gangrene under there, and not addressing the actual underlying symptom of why is that occurring. It was keeping us from being able to heal. And so these past lives are coming in to say, look, this is what I'm talking about, and this part and this part. And so then we can interact with that healing in a different way that is more thorough and with the ability to create the proper intention of that moment. And so that's why all this stuff's happening, right?
Yeah, like which is also very interesting with the QHHT regression therapy stuff, is that maybe you have something, maybe a physical condition, or like maybe a pattern that you're repeating, which is like keeping you back from reaching the next level. And from your mind's perspective and from the ego's perspective, you have done everything that you could in order to like remedy that situation, but it just doesn't work, or like almost like you're missing something. And maybe when you're guided to such a session, I mean, it doesn't have to be the QHHT, but I highly recommend it. It's awesome. And yeah, like you're guided to that session, and basically you go into your very deep state of trance and like go to the root of the problems, and you discover that, hey, like that condition or pattern that I'm repeating, it's not even coming from this lifetime. So it comes way deeper from another level, which may be a regular, maybe psychiatrist or someone, a counselor, wouldn't even be able to reach that deep phase in you because they're simply not trained to do that. So you need a specialist to go even deeper beyond into your multi-dimensional self. And like those stuff come up in this lifetime because like we're very much like interconnected. Like during meditations, when we do these ancestral healings, I kind of see it in a way that, okay, like I'm in the center and my heart energy is like branching out, just like the branches of the tree or like roots of the tree, like you have the more thicker trunks and like those spread out and those spread out even further and becoming this like very organic web of connectedness to other lifetimes. And like we're constantly communicating, like we're always like sending signals to that part of ourselves, and the signal is coming back. Or like you send out something and something else is reflected back to you. So even though we are not aware of it, we're like in constant communications with other aspects of ourselves. So whatever we do right here, right now, like affects the others, and whatever they are doing or going through affects us too in this lifetime. So that is why weird stuff come up that are like unexplainable, because it comes from a more distant place, from another aspect of yourself, basically. And the reason it is coming up because you have the ability to heal it and to overcome that situation.
Right. Exactly. And there's also other varieties of that kind of healing if you aren't able to for one reason or another. I've never been able to do QHHT. I've always tried, and it's just always there's also auto regression, and what they call, when we just remember, that's called spontaneous auto regression. You're remembering, and often, again, we're talking about breadcrumbs throughout our pop culture and stuff. I'll find that my recollection comes from something that pops up. I'm like, oh, I'll wake up with a thought, with a word. It's like, oh, I should look up this word, and turns out I'm in ancient Egypt, and it's like, oh, okay, let's watch this video, and then maybe watch, the first 1% of the the video and I'm gone because it's reminding me of something, and I'm here, and I look like I'm watching the video, but I'm really someplace else and remembering. And then that'll stir a lot of other rememberings that occur. And it's for, as an example, I did a YouTube guided, just really quick. It was an auto regression thing, and I didn't think that it worked. And then within a week, I had 3 nights in a row where I had, just as I was falling asleep, not quite falling asleep all the way, a memory of 3 different lifetimes. And each one of those 3 lifetimes, I had actually died as a result of dancing one way or another. And up until that point, I've always loved to dance, but there's always something that stopped me. Like there was something, and I didn't really understand it. It was silly. As soon as I understood those past lifetimes, then I was like, well, I'm pushing through this 10, and come to find out that for me, that's the best way to raise my vibrational frequency. That's the best way to get the energy moving through my spiritual as well as my physical system. It's a useful tool for me. And so those types of things come in to help us give us understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, maybe what are like some practical tools that we could share on like overcoming these difficult situations when like something is coming up, something that we have to face, which is no longer working in our lives? Like, how would you address those situations?
Well, that's the most difficult thing as you go. What I'm looking at in my experience, what really was I found that I was slowly pulling away more and more from society, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. And as I was pulling away, the problem I was facing was something to replace that with, and so that's where I found my tools, was in just giving myself something to do. Now, as we're moving through all of this stuff, we're moving density out of ourselves. Often we forget to return the light, to bring the light into that space. And most of us find that experience, that ability in a place of meditation, which early on it's hard to do. It's hard to let ourselves do. And so what I found was I started to garden, and I was doing the earthing thing. I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was engaging in those types of, I don't know if this is the question you're asking based on your face. I think I'm going on a
No, it
different.
is like, that's
Okay.
also a great way of like navigating these difficult times of like transitioning from one phase to the other, is like each day like finding a way to ground and to center yourself, to find something that you enjoy doing so you can like realign yourself and find your center. And I think like, yeah, like just as you said, I think most of us are do it like with like an instinct.
Yeah.
And like later on you realize that, hey, like I was doing all this energy work and I was like not realizing.
Right. The most difficult part about it that I think the experience is that the high resistance to those around me. Like, you're changing, and why, and just persisting to try to get you to go back into the mold that they want you to be in, that they're just used to you being, and that is really hard, especially when we're talking about loved ones, family, friends, people who you shared a lot of years and experiences with, and unfortunately, and also fortunately, looking back, I can say fortunately now, we are, during a dark night of the soul space, removing and shedding relationships. What doesn't align, we still, you still have family reunions and stuff, so you prepare yourself for the 3D experience you're about to proceed into. Though for the most part, the interactions are limited, and that allows you to be able to heal, to expand, and then assist them at a later time. You're not abandoning them. That was what hung me up the most about it, was I just felt like I was abandoning people, you know what I mean? And though at the same time, interacting with certain individuals that I was electing to interact with, or types of gatherings, it was pulling me down and not just slowing my progress, but inhibiting it. I had to give up too much to be able to have anything left for myself. And so to allow yourself to do those things. And like Guardian says, you know, whatever your version of play is, the thing that you hold and don't let yourself do, like you're going to earn later after you do all the stuff that you don't want to do, that thing, that's actually your mission. That's the coolest part of this whole story, in my opinion, is that, everybody's like, what's the life purpose? What's my mission? What's fun? What's fun for you?
Like,
That
what do you
part.
enjoy doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And when you allow yourself to be in that place, go into this space of play, of participation, and that you're not just changing which is a profound service, changing the frequency of the all around you, in yourself and those near to you and far to you, but you're also allowing yourself to elevate yourself to be able to be of better service to the next coming person, and something cool that's been happening over the past few weeks for me is having a YouTube channel makes me uniquely in a unique position. A lot of these people that I had interacted with earlier on, and then they kind of fell away. It was sad because you're like, oh, we thought they were on their awakening journey, and we plant seeds and don't get to see them grow. I'm just reminding you that many, many of these people that you are imparting your wisdom on, that maybe they leave in anger and like say that you're crazy or something, they're starting to come back and be like, holy cow, Pamela, you're right. Like this and this and this and this. And apparently I wrote letters to people to be like, this is what's going to happen in this year for you. I forgot I did that. And they're like, you're right. And these things are happening. And I get to see some of the results of these seed plantings. So I just want to reassure everybody out there, I know we do this and we think, oh, they're just going to leave off thinking that we're crazy. And as they inspire others, they won't see often the result of their planted seed. So allow yourself to pull away from these relationships. They'll come back is what I'm trying to get at. Like they're doing their own thing and they are taken care of. If you were meant to be there in that space, it would be easy. That's what Archangel Michael is always telling me. If it's not easy, it's not your job. Because if it's hard, that's somebody else's job who it's easy for. And you're screwing them out of their job by screwing up their job, kind of a thing. And so just let that person do their job and enjoy your moment. So.
Yeah, like it's difficult because it's like creating resistance for some reason. Oh, I think we lost you for a bit. Yeah, like while you come back, I also wanted to address the part like when you're awakening and you have this difficulty of like accepting like I know, like not necessarily the behavior, but like how people around you, your friends and loved ones, like interact with you or see your awakening journey, that you're like changing, and it's something that in some cases is like uncomfortable for them because you're starting to live from a different perspective which they don't understand, or it is challenging their belief system, which can be problematic for some people. Oh, hello, Donna. And yeah, like I also what I wanted to say regarding this is that like sharing your awakening journey with people who are maybe not ready for it, especially like when you're in this like fragile state that you're just starting to discover and like open your little flower to the world, and be careful because some people may trample on that flower because it's something that they don't enjoy or they ridicule, and it can like throw you back maybe on your journey because you're not at that phase that you're able to like handle these types of opinions or interactions in a balanced way, because you have still not grounded that new information, a new way of being inside of yourself. But the more you do like live from that higher perspective, like someone says something like that to you, just don't care, like it just goes goes by because it's not true. Like it's that, like, okay, like that's their perspective, but that's not true for me. Like that's how you see it, but that's not who I am, or that's not how I live. That's just simply your interpretation, and I'm fine with that, and goodbye, or moving on.
Right. That's a very good point. Like I didn't clarify too that my example was just small things. In most cases, that one particular story was in most cases I honestly just talk to people about crystals and the weather usually, or gardening. And though there is always that kind of conversation that's coming out. Like I'll always have those topics. I'm fascinated by how many people throughout this whole town that I'm in are so open to a lot of this stuff now. It's very bizarre. And that's the other point, though, is that when we first awaken, when we first get into this knowledgeable seeking, researching, understanding space, is that our natural inclination is to jump to the tallest like tower or something and shout to everybody about all this discovery, and you need to know what they've been lying to you about, and we see this example over and over and over again throughout history. We have hospitals full of people that have done that. I just suggest not doing that. Totally not a good idea. However, allowing yourself to speak your truth, there are places where we've made it possible for you to do that, and like Guardian's Patreon group and like my Zoom meetings that I hold and other places like that, and to find your tribe and to stick around. You don't have to come every single time, to whatever tribe you find, but allow yourself to connect. When we do that, it activates, and we are just like what Guardian was saying with other people often will then limit your belief and call you crazy and things like that. We already do that inside our own head too. And so I found it very useful to have others around me who can validate it in real time. Like, I just felt this. Me too, me too, me too, me too. Like, okay, I'm good. Because there is that conditioning, that previous conditioning of anything talking about any of these things is somebody who needs to be medicated or hospitalized, right?
Yeah, because you're like not functioning or doing stuff that is normal or
Right.
that has been pre-programmed into your psyche. Yeah. I think like most of us are like, that's our hugest challenge of like, we have all these amazing realizations and like we're changing and working on ourselves, and then you go back to reality and like you have to interact with people who are like almost like in a completely different universe, right, compared to where you are. And I'm still working on that part. So like finding ways of like how to, I know, like adequately interact with different type of people, so I'm okay with interacting with them and they're also okay if I'm there being myself. I think awesome. I'm also working on that, but I made a lot of progress in the past few years. Good.
Slowly but surely, taking our time. That's another point too that I've gotten over and over and over again in the past few weeks for all these different people I've talked to. And I feel like it's like a collective experience, is that all of this is meant to be gradual. And we knew that already a couple of years ago. Guardian, remember we kept getting the same message over and over, be patient. And, you just wanted to, just have a tantrum or something. I was totally having that experience. And the whole point of that is that the more gradual that it happened, the more that could come along on the awakening journey. It would give a chance for more individuals to come. And now it's not that, it's everybody here is already on the train. I don't know if you know that. We're all here. We're all on train, 70 truly is what we're really doing. However, the experience that we're in is this I totally lost my train of thought because I would
because of the solar flare.
Yeah, probably. I lost my internet a minute ago. I don't know if you noticed that. We're being hit by solar flares all over the place. You're already on this journey is the point. You're already in this space. It's simply now it's time to heal what's coming up in front of you, and there's one other point that needs to be made too about that, is that as we're allowing ourselves to be in this space, like you said, to connect to people who understand, and that are allowing you to speak your truth, is that your truth becomes clear. It's like your truth is a string, and if you take that string and ball it up, you can only see parts of it at little edges and turns of it. Though when we speak it, it's like we pull the string straight and you can see and understand what it truly is. And I don't know a better example And that's what's occurring while we speak up. Information comes through in channeling while we speak as well. Most of us are not even realizing it, and one of the most useful tools is to figure out what works best for you for grounding. Out of all these other things that I've learned, the one thing that I was the most surprised about is that when I ground, I am able to be more spiritual. Because it sounds so weird. Everybody comes on, wakes up, and we're like, let's open our third eye, and we're focusing on you're really already set in your upper 4 chakras. It's the lower 3 that we need to work on. That's where it feels like a bad neighborhood. You don't want to go alone. Over here, we're good, and so allowing yourself to find how to ground, and then participating in that regularly, it'll be easier and more efficient to move through this stuff. And so some people do that through going into nature. Some people do that through particular kinds of meditation. Water is really useful. I use water for grounding usually these days. There's a lot of tools for that. So
yeah, like it's great that we like arced back to the whole like techniques, like what you can do to navigate the situation. Yeah, like other than grounding, you touched upon meditation, and there are like different types of meditations that you can do to like transform the dense energies that you're experiencing. Because while you're like transforming your belief system and like working through all the blockages, like it can be very draining.
yeah.
And you can, for quite a few days, weeks, or even months, like sit in a rut or like a very dense place in life. But there are like tools for it to like overcome it and like make the heavy things lighter. So you can like breeze through the whole process more easily rather than experience and like savor all the beautiful moments of feeling bad for yourself or sorry for your life. Like that's not a great place to be. But yeah, like there are a lot of ways to overcome it. One of the great ways is like interact with your guides. Like even if you don't know who they are, it doesn't really matter. Everyone has guides who are like assisting you, and like put out a clear intent, like, hey, like guides, like I want to like get through this nasty process as quickly as I can. I want to learn what I need to learn, and I want to heal what I need to heal, and like let's make it quick and help me get through this as quickly as possible. And they will make it happen. Like it doesn't have to be prolonged or difficult. It's like all depends on us, like how quickly can we like move through different phases of it, how much we allow the process to happen. And like the other tool is like doing transmutation, like transforming the dense energies into something lighter. There are different ways of doing this. Like the way that I'm always like promoting is like using the violet flame, or what I use is the eternal fire, is to like research violet flame meditation. There are a lot of them. So I think I also did a few. They're on my channel if you want to check it out. And yeah, like go with whichever one resonates with you. Like there are multiple versions of it. You can, if you get a sense of how it works, you can also do your own version of it. Like it doesn't really matter like how you use it. Just let it guide you and like use your imagination on how it should work. But yeah, like use the violet flame on a daily basis, especially in the beginning, to like bring up the energies that are unpleasant and basically just simply transform them into something more constructive and lighter. And you would just, after just a few minutes, if you're actually like tuning into that vibration, like letting the violet flame flow through you, around you, like in all levels, not just physical, but energetic too, then basically you will start to feel much more lighter. It can have maybe an impact on your physical body in a sense that you can like sense like a jolt, or like a part of your body just realize itself.
It's weird.
Yeah, like it can be weird in the beginning, but basically what is happening is that the violet flame is like pushing through your body, and like it's like breaking through blockages. And maybe you had a blockage here, you had a blockage there, you had several blockages in your spine. It's like pushing through that blockage, and like your body reacts to it, because we function on an electric basis. Like our nervous system is electric, like it sends impulses, and like it react. If I haven't been to med school, it was that accurate high vibration. As far as I know, like it sends like electric impulses, and when something like so energetically charged, like a transmutation is like happening in your body, then your physical body reacts to it too.
Yeah.
Like, so if something like that happens, it's part of the process. And the
Exactly.
more clearer you become, then you simply won't have that experience, because there is nothing that it needs to like break through very intensely. It would just simply flow much more naturally.
Exactly.
So yeah, I highly recommend it. Like, it's an awesome tool to like that can like supercharge this whole process and make it a lot more easier for you.
And as an example, it's like having a hose and spraying it, or spraying it against a screen that's, again, like one of those mesh window coverings. You're still going to get the water to the other side, but it's going to shake the body, as it's moving it through, because there's something, the blockage of movement in there. One thing I want to mention too, this seems really rudimentary, so I always forget to mention it. The importance of allowing yourself to take, and we talk about meditation like it's just a regular expected thing, because when we stop at least once a day, at least for 5 minutes, and allow yourself to visualize and see the white love light coming down from God into your body in whatever way. Often people are drawn to have that light shining, moving through their crown chakra, though a lot of us are doing the heart chakra. The reason I bring this up is that this is already happening all the time. You always got, this is your life force. This is your connection with God. It is a constant thing. However, when we visualize it, it amplifies the experience. We are filled up more completely and more energized and prepared to do whatever the next thing is, and so when we're moving these densities out, like Guardian's talking about with this transmutation, we always want to remember to replace it with light, just like we're replacing our hobbies and our things as we move from society. We want to find something that is a higher vibrational replacement, something that gives fulfillment, and that's that's how to repair, is to send that light. That light is love, that is from God, that is yours. And when we do that, we'll also find often that areas of our body that kind of seem to be bloated or filled up with air, when the light moves through it, the air moves out, and so a lot of us are having a lot of really weird gas, by the way, because this transference that's happening. And we just barely cross a threshold. Like, everybody senses it. I don't have anything to point at. The planetary parade that just happened is something to point at. It feels very, very strong, like portal energy. And we're here right now. And this is I just want to bring this up. I know we have to be done. I just wanted to let people know that you're not alone. There are a lot of people having increased in Ascension symptom experience right now. And that's usually the cause. Solar flares often are associated as well. And we have a lot inbound and hitting us right now. So
yeah, we have
know
also
that you're
a lot
not
of
alone.
like astrological alignments too that are like amplifying the process. So
Yeah,
a lot of stuff are happening in the heavens.
exactly.
Yeah, like what I wanted to add to what you were saying is like, I completely forgot about that part of like, when you're like removing something nasty or undesired from your field, like to fill it up with light, to make it sure that like nothing similar to the things that you don't desire to have in your body comes back and fills up that space again. So,
Right. Exactly.
and the same thing is with like your day-to-day life as well. Like, if you have removed an element of your life that you don't enjoy, maybe going to a certain place or meeting some certain people that don't resonate anymore, or maybe, I know, like ending a relationship that was toxic, and yeah, like that also creates a void in a sense, just as with the blockage removal and like removing implants or whatever, that also creates a void, but gives you the opportunity to like fill that void with something that you actually do prefer to have in your life. So
Right.
focus, after you have removed it, like focus on like, what would I rather have and do in my life instead of what I didn't prefer to have.
Right. And create.
Yeah.
whether it be music, gardening's a way of creation, landscaping, art, sculpture. You don't have to think that you're good at it to do it.
Yeah, you
But
don't have to be Da Vinci or whatever.
right,
And you don't have to show it to anyone too. It's just for you.
exactly. Writing is another, that's one that I do a lot. And during writing, that's where I first started to really see channeling messages coming through. Allow that creative energy to flow, because especially right now we're having this manifestation chakra being amplified, and that helps. That's helps the energy flow of that creation. That area is not, it's not, that's where they also place the womb without that's not a mistake. It's to point to the creation space. And so there's my,
Yeah, like also that frustration in many of us of like not doing what we enjoy, and also that frustration and like that stuck energy, in my experience, is due to the fact that there is something in you that like wants to come out, like you creating maybe a book or a course, or just, I don't know, like doing some art or creating something, like you feel that uneasiness and like frustration because something wants to come through you into this world, basically. And when you actually sit down and do it, then you feel like, oh, like, okay, like I feel a lot better now, much lighter.
exactly. You're putting down your luggage when you do it.
Yeah, and most of the time you will like find out later that, hey, like I came into this world to actually do that. And like, I did it. Yeah, like brings a very deep sense of fulfillment, because you're fulfilling what you came here to do, which for what you have like pre-programmed yourself before you were born. And like just as you said, like we are attracted to so basically our mission is what brings us joy, because like we have programmed ourselves before coming in, so we naturally gravitate towards the stuff that we should be doing. And of course, like if it's something that you should be doing or you came in to do it, of course it should be something that you actually enjoy doing. So
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, so in closing, do you wish to share anything with us?
Know that you're not alone. That we only covered a few. We just scratched the surface. There's a lot of experience that many of us are having. Connect, comment, participate, and what I had found was commenting on others' comments in videos like this helped me connect to my star family, to others that I needed to feel, to replace those relationships that were not in harmony with me. So
Yeah, like now we have the opportunity to connect with like-minded people. Like it don't have to be in your neighbor or your friend. Like online we can connect to whomever we want to right now.
yeah,
And it's free as well. So take the chance and act upon your highest excitement and connect with like-minded souls. Like meet your soul family. Like you don't necessarily have to like talk to like other people, just, I don't know, like be in the same energetic space and know that we are there and we're together and like we're supporting each other on this journey, basically.
right, exactly.
All right. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, High Vibration, for bringing your wisdom and your solar forecast to the show. And yeah, like hope to see everyone next week, and have a beautiful spring weekend if it's not snowing in your part of the world. Yeah. We just had an entire week of snow. So yeah.
We're about to get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So have a great day, everyone, and see you next week. Bye.